Alright, what we have here is a Balibalistic flipper Proto. I have this on loan from Silkworm. I was originally going to do like a review or something, but my video editing software is expired and it would suck, so I just thought it would be a shame to have this and not make a short video of it, because there's not really a whole lot of videos as far as Balibalistics go on the internet. That kind of is a shame. Alright, so I haven't flipped this one a ton because, well, it's not mine. I can't afford to replace it. It is irreplaceable. And yeah, it's also like a fucking straight razor, so I definitely don't want to hurt myself with it, because it will like peel off one of your fingers if you fuck up. This is actually one of the better flippers I have ever handled in my life, and that is saying something, because I have a 42, I've had an Archangel, I have an Alpha Beast. I actually have both of these in my possession at the moment, which is pretty awesome. And the Alpha beats the Balibalistic on balance. However, this knife has a lot of good things about it. This is, like I said, is one of the better flippers I've ever handled in my life. Unfortunately, it's not a valid option as a flipper because, I don't know, I think there's less than 5 in existence. And these new, and if you were able to try and buy one of these on the secondary market, good luck getting one from Sean. That's not going to happen. But if you were to try to get one of these, it'd be between $700 and $1,000, and could never afford to do anything crazy with it, because if you hurt it, it really is irreplaceable. So, which is a shame, because this knife does everything well. I mean, it's an amazing custom and an amazing flipper at the same time, and it is a really good knife also. You know, it's good for cutting things. There's a lot of ballast songs that flip awesome that aren't so good for cutting. That's sad, but this knife is awesome. That's really all I could take away from this. Right. Knife Zoid has a review out about this knife. His is really detailed. I believe this knife was actually built with some of his recommendations. He first reviewed a LST lump style Tanto by Balibalistic, and he suggested that to make a better flipper, Sean should thin out the blade stock and make the handles thinner and more rounded, because the handles on his knives before then were pretty blocky, and they still are unless you get the flipper versions, which looks nice, but it doesn't really make a good flipper. And he normally uses like 1/4-inch blade stock, which again looks amazing, but with titanium handles it becomes way too blade heavy. So this knife was actually designed with input from him, and that's pretty cool. So you should definitely check out Knife Zoid's review on this knife if you want to know more about it. The balance on this knife is a little bit too neutral for my taste. I seriously believe that the 42 is just a tad bit better. Not that there's anything wrong with this knife. This is absolutely top notch. It doesn't matter how good or how bad of a flipper you are, you'll be able to do everything on this knife. But I believe the 42 is just the tiniest bit better when it comes to balance, just because it's a little bit more handle bias. You can't really see it here, but the handles on the 42 are a bit longer because they taper. There's a lot of weight in the ass ends. The handles on this knife is pretty neutral. It still handles amazingly, and there's no frustration at all when you try and do any particular trick. It sort of does everything well, but I'm a little bit better with the 42. However, I found I actually handle this better than I handle the Alpha. The Alpha, I love this knife to death, and the balance is amazing. So is the weight. However, the blockiness of around the pivots up here, the handles, it's really fucking with me. I'm gonna do something about that here in a little bit, but not yet. But this knife, it has a bit more weight to it than the 42, it seems, and the rounded profile of the handles makes it extremely comfortable. So I actually do handle this better than my Alpha, but you know, like I said, I don't want to hurt it, and I definitely don't want to fuck up with it because it's nasty. But there are two tiny problems with this knife. If you're familiar with Balibalistics or anything like that, you know that they're damn near perfect, and that's why they're so popular. Besides the awesome style, but his grinds really are his claim to fame, I guess. And this blade is amazing, just perfect, and the satin finish is awesome too. I believe this one, Brad beat the shit out of it, and Matt Cook had to replace one of these pivots, one of the bushings, and refinish the blade and put a new tip on it. But it is amazing in every way. There are two things that aren't so awesome about this knife. The fit of the spacers is kind of off. I don't know if you can see that, but they kind of stick out a bit and they move around in there. And I've tried to tighten this. I didn't crank on them because, again, I don't want to hurt it, but they didn't move. Seems like it's in there tight, but these like to move around. The spacers do, and I don't know if that's because it's been disassembled and maybe they were put in on the wrong side because, you know, it's a custom knife. Everything's just made to fit whatever it's next to, I guess. And that and the latch has been beaten to the point to where it's almost useless. It doesn't really, it gets stuck, like, it'll get pinched in there in the handle and won't want to come out. It's also sort of pitted. I believe it's steel. It feels like steel. So it has the same problem that most Balisongs do. This handle, the bite handle's a bit heavier. Again, unfortunate, but it's actually kind of dented and like deformed from being smashed against these handles repeatedly, and I find that odd because normally it's the steel that deforms the titanium, not the other way around. Maybe the latch wasn't heat treated or something. I don't know, but the latch and the spacers aren't so great. However, I feel like they would be a hell of a lot better if Brad hadn't beat the shit out of this knife. Like if you had seen pictures to how it was before, it really was beaten to death. So not really sure what else to say other than it's fucking awesome, and I feel very privileged to have been able to handle it and flip it. But I'm not going to do anything crazy with this knife because I don't want to hurt it. Might be able to handle a titanium basilisk sometime in the future. I don't know about that, but I'm pretty excited about that, and I was really happy to be able to handle this. Not many people actually get to use one of these, and it is pretty amazing. So that's all.